go. You get to witness happy dollars.
Good morning, Amazing Thursday, April 8th.
How do I get
Can Sal ask someone to give me a notification?
Just since we started the meeting, I can hardly hear it.
I'm going to this morning for our
All right, can everybody mute themselves that are virtual?
Rotary International
Yeah.
Mission
Oh, I got a mute here.
together. We see a world where people unite and take action to make lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Let's say the pledge.
John, are you hearing us okay?
Oh, I can't hear my name.
You can just raise your hand if you're hearing us okay? Okay, thanks.
Mm.
Welcome, Carol. And I'm going to have a guest. Her name is Jen Key. Can you unmute yourself and say hello? Who invites you along? Gary Rohrbach? Gary, is that your guest?
They're all muted right now.
Yeah. Well, no, the pandemic's over when we can do this for
Barry, do you want me to?
John, can you unmute everybody?
Oh, they're.
I don't think Gary does.
Okay, Gary, we'll have to catch your guests later when John unmutes you guys.
Oh, it's Jan. Yeah, Gary's having trouble.
Dee, can you introduce her?
Yes, it's the person who came last week, Jan, and Gary met her at Vari Var's restaurant, so in Emmaus, and she's came back for a second time. So welcome, Jan.
Welcome. I wonder what that pickup line is you get people to join you over.
The restaurant, thanks.
Yeah, we need to publish that in the trunk. Megan, do you have our birthdays?
Yeah, I do. Okay. On April 6th, our friend Fred Herman celebrated his birthday. Where's he at? Where's he at? Oh, happy birthday, Fred! April 7th, Harrington Smith and Jeff Tinsel celebrated. April 8th, Tom Devine, today. April 13th, Jeff Boyer will be celebrating. April 18th, Melissa Schwartz. April 21st, Alan Cornwall will be celebrating. April 24th, Peter Roberts. And that rounds out our list for April.
And then this. Here, the date is Sunday, May 23rd. You can put together a team team of 2 is $120, and you can be in the cornhole tournament where there are prizes. Or you can just come and watch and have some libations for $35 a person. They are looking still, I think, right, Don, for some sponsorships. Yeah, okay. All of the money raised, is live music, all of the money raised will go towards the Pet Food Coalition feeding the school kids and the families of our
John,
area.
if you could just raise your hand if you're hearing okay
Right now, the
from
event
Alexa.
sponsors Better Homes. I think we've heard of that place.
Thank you.
So if you have a place for a flyer,
Jessica, can I add something?
sure.
So for the Boston Beer Tournament, there is a Facebook event on our Emmaus Rotary page. Please take a moment, like the event, share the event, and invite friends to the event through Facebook. There's a little invite button. You can just go through your friends list and invite them to attend. It just helps us expand the reach for free. Thank you.
And there's an online way to get tickets.
Yes, the link for buying tickets is on the Facebook page as well. So they can just click it, and thanks to Mark for getting that set up.
Okay. Tony Moyer, can you be unmuted and give us an update on this four-way speech contest at the regional level?
Yes, I'd be happy to. We had the contest yesterday. It was virtual once again. And thank you to Sue, who helped, and Karen, who helped. I also had some other Emmaus Rotarians who were willing to help a second time, but because they were a part of the first competition, I couldn't have them back because of judging. But I thank you to all who were willing to help. We had 3 contestants. Of course, our Emmaus candidate. We had a candidate from Whitehall High School. And we also had a candidate from Nazareth High School. And the competition ended up with the Nazareth High School candidate winning first place, our Emmaus Rotary candidate, or Emmaus High School candidate winning second, and the Whitehall candidate came in third. And I personally thought that all the speeches this year especially were very high caliber. The young woman who won the competition, afterwards, she talked about going to law school, and the whole time she was speaking, I'd never heard her before. I kept saying, "Wow, this woman is going to be an amazing lawyer." And sure enough, she was going to law school, and her speech related to the current laws in Pennsylvania that allow a woman who would give a baby up for adoption to take the baby back after 30 days. And that was her speech, that she was, trying to speak in opposition to that law. So hopefully I can have Olivia, our Emmaus High School candidate, come and speak to all of us. I think you would enjoy her speech. She was excellent as well. So it went very well, and the competition is over. The final competition will take place on May 1st virtually, where, of course, the candidate from the North region, who was from Nazareth High School, will speak and compete on May 1st.
Thank you, Tony. Tony also got us a really nice spread about the four-way speech contest and our local winner in the Lehigh Valley. What was the name of that article, Tony?
Not sure if it was only virtual or if it was published in print as well, but I hadn't seen it either. So Deb Galbraith did share it with me, so I was happy that she published it.
Okay, so you're going online to the press now. Everything's up to date. Okay. Mark.
You probably have received some email regarding the diversity, equity, and inclusion survey. Since that survey is confidential, we don't know who has taken it or not, so that's why it's an additional email, even if you've already taken the survey. And thanks to those that have. As of yesterday morning, we had 55 that have taken the survey. We really appreciate it. Just trying to get a sense of kind of your perception of things and how welcoming of a club we believe that we have, and maybe we'll gain some insight as to things that we might need to work on, we'd like to work on. So really value your time in completing that. It should only take you about 10 minutes or so. So thank you very much. Look for 1 or 2 more emails, then the training will be over.
Okay. Karen?
For the people in Canada land, I hope you're reading your trumpet because I asked if you could please write cards for next week's meeting. I gave some examples of what to write, and then here at Brookside, we're going to be having a table here lined up with things to put in the kit for the Allentown Rescue Mission. So if you have anything that you want to give to me today, I have the car. Otherwise, please bring it next week. Don't forget. And, hopefully we'll end up making at least 50 kits. There are a few things left on the sign-up list to buy. Okay, thank you. And then the other thing is on the 17th, on the Saturday, is the cleanup, the Earth Day cleanup day, which is run by Maze Borough at Lower Milford, and 8:30 start, and at 9 o'clock, Mike Wardell is also having cleanup remembrance start. Do you need people to bring rakes? Yeah, bring in rakes, that would be good. And hopefully see people there at either Earth Day or Remembrance Day. Okay, thanks.
Any other announcements before we begin? Okay.
All right, it's our annual election. We elect 4 at-large members to our board. The way the election is going to go, there is a paper ballot I have here. I'll pass out a few if you want to make a paper ballot. After the main meeting, you're going to get an email with the same ballot on it. So you can draw a paper, you can take that email and send back to me the 4 names you want to vote for, or you can send me a text, or you can mail me a letter if you'd like. Just get it to me by next Tuesday, because then I'm going to go to the second phase. Again, this is for the 4 at-large members that serve from July 1st, this coming July 1st to the following June 30th. And if you have any questions, see me afterwards. Just use a paper ballot. Make sure you attach me into the meeting here today. Any questions?
There's the honor system that nobody needs twice. And there's no outside influence. So it's my pleasure at this time to announce the results of the President's Pop Up Quiz. We had 7 correct answers. I was touched that many people read that far. And then counted words in the message. And here's the deal, guys. I floored me. We have a 3-way tie for first. So Steve Gold, he's up there on the screen. Wait, Steve. Okay, he's frozen. Mark Earl and Wade George. So you guys come up here and get, you've heard of personal size pizza, pan pizza? Personal size spaghetti. Great. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's a great question. The answer was together. I think that's the word that has our magic. Okay? Thank you. Door prizes.
So today's door prize is an Apple gift card. Now, for those of you that are not tech savvy, no, you cannot take this to Giant and get a bag of apples. This allows you to buy some tech from Apple. And what I'm going to do right now is virtual world. Does anybody in virtual world want to have a chance at this? I have a couple tickets left. And if you promise to put $5 happy dollars in my Venmo account, I will put a ticket in for you. Is there anybody out there who's willing to be happy that they might win this prize?
John's happy.
John, Steve, here. Here. Put names on those. If you could, please. So we'll have a little delay while Megan's filling those out. I'd like to point out that you people in virtual land have it pretty easy, because when we come here, we have to have our temperature checked. Some of us fail the first time, then we have to sign in, then we have to get a name back. And some people forget to do all of those. I wouldn't say Mark Earl was one of them, but he was.
Mark.
He checked his temperature, but forgot to sign in.
Sorry, it was John, Rick, and Tony.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Anybody else? Okay. So everything's in there. And, we have a desk over there for the table. I'm not sure what her name is. Somebody's have to get a name tag for now. I think it's a bond, yes. You got two. There's no name on the back, so 6159. Is there a 6159 here? Fred?
Where's the birthday ball?
All right, Fred, happy birthday.
All right, so on to find Sue and, well, her camera. And happiness. Go ahead, Tim.
I've got $2 to tell you a story. It comes from Tammy Keita, who is a member of our club. She's part of East Bend School District and is in school during club time. She teaches English as a second language. And she met our science teacher, Tim Temple, that came to us in 2017 from Akron. Tim and Mr. Zulu and I forgot the other lady's name. She made a relationship with him, and Tim Temple is attending her class tomorrow at Emmaus High School by Zoom. They read the book about being a youth in Kenya, and they're going to use Tim Temple's youth life in Zambia as a pseudonym for that. And so students are going to have a chance to interview him and hear about what life was like in Zambia. So
Awesome.
I thought that was really nice.
Mike.
$5 thank you dollars. Quick story. Karen Hobson, what a good person she is. Great job. I have a neighbor who is a single dad of triplets, single parent of triplets. And, he's mentioned they're in third grade. He mentioned a couple of weeks ago they're looking for a basketball net. Going to buy one. I happened to go to Karen's house to get some boxing, which is another story. And I saw this net there. Had apparently been there a while. Donated it to my next door neighbor. But now I know when school is out every day, I hear the basketball net out on the driveway. So thank you, Karen. Gary and the kids really appreciate it.
I forgot what I was putting on today. I believe there's business in here, so I will be going. I go from pocket A to pocket B. Any other happiness? Anyone else?
All right, so Sunday was Easter. My kids were over at the house, and we had a nice Easter dinner, and so happy about that.
Virtual world, anybody happy in virtual world? All right, Steve.
morning, everybody. Good to see everybody. Everything's good in Steve Gould's world. I know I haven't been around much, but I've missed everybody. It's great to see everybody this morning. I'm going to give $20 happy dollars this morning for all the support everybody has given me through my last year, especially with the recent from my stepdad. I got some really nice cards from some Rotarians, and it was much appreciated. So good to see everybody. Love you all.
His mouth is always moving. Are we? Steve, thank you very much, but unfortunately, we didn't hear a thing.
Can you do sign language?
John goes, oh.
Want me to try again?
Can you hear me? And that was it.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we heard that. That's good enough.
Okay, bye. Good luck.
You want me to run that again?
Go ahead, Bob.
I have $5 happy dollars. It's been a while, but our daughter was to be married this past October, and then of course COVID happened and everything. We thought it was all going to be postponed and whatever, and then we got a message from Canada where she lives outside Toronto that she and her now husband did get married on the date when they intended to, but just in a little private ceremony up in Canada. So celebration's yet to happen, but I now have a daughter that hopefully will be happily married for a long time.
Great. Great news.
Back to you.
Thank you, Don. At the table, I was very interested to hear our guest speaker and some of the things he was saying. So buenos dias. Megan's going to set up who he is and why you should listen.
Morning, guys. Morning. We have an awesome speaker this morning. He's going to knock your socks off. Jose Rivera. Jose Rivera is the king of survival, mislabeled as only a Latin king. Born in Spanish Harlem in the 1970s, the deck was stacked against him. New York City in the 80s was devastated by the crack epidemic. Jose's mother tried to keep him one step ahead of despair by moving out of Spanish Harlem to Allentown. Poverty, unfortunately, does not have a zip code. Allentown was no different, and it was not a life Jose was willing to accept. Opportunity did not come easily, and the streets came calling. Being an expert street pharmacist allowed Jose to rise quickly, but everything came with a price. Multiple stabbing wounds, gunshot wounds, and jail sentences took everything from Jose except life and family. After 14 years in prison, Jose decided to own his future. Still a Latin king, he decided to forge a new path. Jose has been in recovery since 2012. Now, as a community outreach volunteer for Promise Neighborhoods Lehigh Valley, Jose is giving back to the community he helped to destroy. He recently graduated from Lehigh Carbon Community College with an associate's degree in business management and is applying to Muhlenberg College to get his bachelor's degree in business management. Jose was recently accepted into the Real Estate Lab, a real estate entrepreneurship program developed by developer J.B. Riley. Jose plans to further his education in hopes to ensuring that low-income housing remains affordable, reinvesting in his community, and ensuring that those who live in the community are part of the decision-making process that affects their lives. Mr. Rivera is proof of what's possible when street smarts are combined with opportunity and hope. So without further ado, Jose, come on up and join us. Yes, you. Take it away. Well, they have to do it. I know.
I'll be honest, I hate microphones. I think it's being part of a male dominant structure in my past. Like, I want to be in charge of everything and I don't know how to put it down. But first, I'd like to thank y'all for giving me the opportunity to be here. And like we do at Promise Neighborhoods, we honor our ancestors, and Alicia is one of our ancestors. She helped put the foundation. She was part of the stones that brought us to where we are right now. Our ideas might have been different, but it's all the same thing. We're inspiring hope in our communities and making sure none of these kids go through this structures and of destruction like I did. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the organization I'm a part of, but please, let's have a conversation. I hate standing up here and controlling things. If you wanna ask me a question, jump right in. That would make me feel more comfortable, and I think I would do better in a conversation than just standing up here and talking. I'm the Director of Community Transformation at Promise Neighborhoods of the Lehigh Valley, and yes, it's neighborhoods with an S. I'm in Muhlenberg, but I'm also at Northampton Community College now trying to get my CRS as a Certified Recovery Specialist. So I work for 8 to 10 hours a day, and I'm at school till 10 o'clock at night. Saturdays and Sundays is homework. I wish I could do some of the stuff I used to do, like go outside.
We do too.
But that's what got me in trouble, being outside. Now I'm 49 years old, and I realized the way to success is through education. Through education, I started feeling good, thinking good, and making proper decisions. Where before I took advantage of that, I didn't care. But I was no dummy, I just made dumb decisions. I was an honorable student my whole life. But chasing that dollar took me to the streets. Last year, when COVID hit, I was working at Sam Adams, and I had the opportunity to stay there, but I started realizing I was chasing hours, I was chasing money, I was chasing hours, and I had to leave that alone. Because I was fresh out of prison. I was released in 2019, August 20th. I was dropped off at Promise Neighborhoods by one of my college professors who came up to Frackville to teach us. For 16 months, he kept telling me what a great organization this was. And to be honest, all I kept thinking is like, it's another organization trying to tell me what needs to get done in my neighborhood. And I wasn't going for it. You know, with a little bit of access that we had to the internet prison, I was able to look up and see who they really were. And I was like, okay, I'll give them an opportunity. For my first 2 weeks, I stood inside that building, and during the day, I was there. At night, I was still running up and down 7th Street. And I realized something had to give. I was tired of going back to prison. And I said, you know what? I got to give this an opportunity because they're giving me the opportunity. I've missed 2 days, and that was because I had to go work the polls. For voting, not anything else. I don't want to. But I had a hernia surgery, and I came in 2 hours after my surgery. And they were like, "Weren't you just in for surgery this morning?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Go home." I'm like, "No." I said, "This is just a little bit of pain and discomfort. I've been through this, right?" I was a victim of a violent crime. I was stabbed 27 times and left for dead. Less than a year later, I was shot again. And if that don't make you wake up, I don't know what will. But they didn't make me wake up because I was right back out on the street. It took me my last incarceration to realize I rolled over one night in this dark, cold, gloomy spot. And like everything clicked finally. Like, what am I doing here? Like, I hate when people say, well, I grew up in prison. Well, you're taking credit for nature. You're gonna get old. I matured. And that's a whole different other feeling. When you roll over and you say, like, what am I doing here? I know better than this. My mother raised me better than this. And it just hit. I said, what am I going to do different today? And I had to take them baby steps. What's going to be different? I stopped going to the yard because I hated feeling like cattle. You have to walk this way and this circle. You can't walk this way. You can't be a free, independent thinker and go the opposite way. So I was like, what got to change? I said, you know what? I'll give up my yard. After I gave up my yard, I gave up the weights. I gave up congregating in big groups. I started going to the library. I started picking up real books instead of hood novels. And then Governor Wolf reinstated the Second Chance Pell Grant program, which is a beautiful thing. I got right in, and everything changed. Now, I Promise Neighborhood, it took me a while. You know, I write this stuff down because I can tell you about me, but I need to tell you how great of an organization we are. Our belief system is to inspire hope, belonging, and a sense of agency. And a sense of agency is the ability to make purposeful decisions. And when people start understanding that, they start moving in the right direction. We also go by the 4 E's over there. It's education, entrepreneurship, employment, and emotional support. And all 4 of them are integrated. And it's hard to believe that because when you see emotional support, it's like, how do you support someone emotionally? It's just being there, asking them what's wrong, how are you feeling? The same way in business, how we believe in emotional intelligence. It's all basically the same thing. Please ask questions.
Jose, could you make sure that the microphone's closer so they can hear you? I know you hate it, but sorry.
Where is your building?
Our building is located at 1101 West Hamilton Street, Suite 102.
And how many people do you serve?
Do we serve? We serve from 12th Street to 7th Street, from Green to Hamilton. That is the Promised Neighborhood area. And I think Alicia knows that. But we also help everybody in the Lehigh Valley. During when COVID hit, we were able to hand out 250,000 diapers.
All right.
We were able to provide food for 300 families who were in food deserts. By food deserts, we mean COVID hit, there was no money. And we also showed them like, what's the importance of fresh fruits and vegetables. If you walk into most of our bodegas, they don't sell that stuff. You have to go to the main supermarkets. So we started showing people like there's a healthier way to eat. You know, I'm a diabetic and I still beat myself up every day because I know I can't have that extra piece of toast, but I still want it. But I have to train myself what I can take and what I cannot take. And we try to show this to everybody else. If you're feeling good, you're gonna act a whole lot better. Somebody have?
No, when things get back to normal or previous to COVID, and when things get back, you go into the schools and talk to.
Promise Neighborhood, we have 3 schools. Central is our primary school, that has never changed.
Yeah.
We have Central, Robin, Allen. So last year when before COVID hit, there was a gang problem and we walked kids to Robin School and we waited for them outside and walked them back home. And it took a lot for me to do that because the gang that they were having problems with is a rival gang that I'm involved with. So that made me a bigger target. But then when you start looking at these kids who want something different, I was like, you know what? My community sacrificed for me, I have to sacrifice for them. And they earned it, they deserve it. Especially right now after COVID, these kids earned everything they got. They've learned more than what I've learned. Like when I have my granddaughter sending me a Zoom link because she wants to talk to me, and I'm sitting there going like, how did you learn this? She's like, oh, we have to do this for school. And it's like, I feel bad that some of them are lacking, but I'm trying to find a way to celebrate them all once. 2 weeks they go back, some of them, I've been. We have to find a way to celebrate these kids. They took on a phenomenal task that no one thought they would be able to do. We struggle in this room with technology. So imagine their minds, but they're figuring it out. They didn't quit.
Jose, here at the table, you talked to us about the gang rivalries,
Yes.
your current membership and how you leverage that. Can you just let others in?
I am what's called an ancient king in the Latin King world. And I still get in problems when I go to city council, when I talk to the county commissioners, they always ask, why are you still a gang member? I'm like, because you can't fix this problem from the outside. If I give up my status as being an ancient king, when I try to reach back in and try to pull somebody back out, they're not going to allow that because they're going to feel like I abandoned them. But as long as I'm still there and I'm willing and giving them access to speak to me, they give me the power to go back in and say, okay, this young man don't deserve here, give him to me. And they've done that several times already. Because, like I said, if I walk away from them, they're going to walk away from me. Then who am I to go back up in there and tell them? Like, you can't fix nothing from the outside. You have to be inside. Chief Granitz of the Allentown Police Department, he's a real close friend of mine, and he understands that. At first, they were all like, oh, but you still got your hands in the negativity. And I'm like, no, I'm not active. All they seek from me is knowledge. All I seek for them is an opportunity to let me get 1 or 2 members. And because once you're in, you're in. And if they consider you a bad apple, I don't want nothing to happen to that child. When I got involved with the Latin Kings in '89, it wasn't what it is right now. We were community organizers. But somewhere down the line, the messages have gotten changed and changed. They recruited younger and younger, and this is where we're at now. I still get mad when people call me a gang member. So I'm not a gang member. That's not what we were set up to be. If anyone knows all the histories of all the gangs that we have in the United States, the majority of them were not set up to be gangs. The Bloods were community organizers, the Crips were community organizers. It's when you treat someone like a criminal, we become criminal. But I sat here at the table and I said, some of our young men sit outside on stoops and they're doing nothing but sitting out there and having a conversation. And for the police officers to come by and pat search them and start treating them like that, after a while, it's just like, well, they already think I'm committing a crime. I might as well, because now they're not going to suspect me. And that's that negative thinking. That's that stinking thinking we talk about. But when you push that, that's the results you're going to get. Like I also said at the table, gangs are not a bad word. But they use this word to defund our neighborhoods. And I'm more like, if there's a gang problem, fund the neighborhood, give these kids an opportunity, give them something to do. If you continue to close these doors and blame the parents, it's not the parents' fault, it's the community's fault. Because we always run around saying it takes a village to raise a child. But if it's not funded properly, how are we helping that child? The gangs open up these doors, these make-believe doors, because they give them the sense of hope and they inspire belonging. It might be in a negative way, which it is 90% of the time. But this is all these children are looking for, a sense of belonging. And if these neighborhoods are not funded and these kids are not educated right, this is what we get, a problem.
Was there a father, you mentioned your mother, was there a father that, obviously you have a father, was he involved in your life? My old man kicked the shit out of me a few times and that obviously set me on the right path. But, is that one of the missing links?
Well, I sent a Father's Day card to my mother because she did both jobs. So
I guess the answer is no.
No, because the only person who I thought my father figures were my grandfather, rest in peace, and my uncle. Once I lost my grandfather, I was ripping him running at 18. And because Alicia knows we come from a Hispanic culture, no one messes with abuelo and abuela. No matter who you are, your grandfather and your grandparents, you can fight with your mother and your father, but you don't fight with grandma. And once I felt the big disciplinarian was gone, my mother wasn't going to be able to hold me back any longer. And
what happened to your father?
I've never met him.
Okay.
So I don't know who he is, and I think it's a good thing though, because I'll be honest, I don't regret everything I've done, because it's made me who I am today right now. Mm-hmm. I needed to take the hard way to get to where I'm at. That way I have a story to tell to these kids.
You said before that you were chasing drugs and money and so on. What are you chasing now?
Hope and inspiration for these kids. Like,
hello, can you hear me?
I'm going for business administration for one reason. I never thought I
But
was going to
can
be in the
he,
nonprofit
like,
world.
can I?
I wasn't chasing that. I said, I'm sorry, I took business because I thought it was the easiest way for me to get through school. I've been selling drugs since I was 8, 9, 10 years old. I understood business. I understood customer care. I understood everything. I didn't know the language though. So it's learning the language of business that I'm going back to school for. And I was like, oh, this is easy. Then I started working in the nonprofit world and I was like, okay, this is more difficult. This is feelings, emotions, and people. And I said, what do BIPOC organizations need? And that's structure. Because they're all new, they're all fresh, they're all eager to run, and they're not structured right. And even my director gets mad at me when I say, I'm going to stick around because I want to help them find the structure that they need. It's not a leadership structure because leaders come and leaders go. You have to have a structure where you're teaching financing. You're teaching these nonprofits what they really have to do and need to do to succeed, because they take the title of nonprofit and think you're going to continue throwing money at problems. That's not what you're supposed to do. We got to look for these positive outcomes and build on top of positive outcomes. And I love my organization because we're flexible. We have our structure, but we're willing to turn on the dime. We're a hands-up organization, not a hands-out organization. We had to switch to charity because of COVID. We like to teach people how to fish. We like to empower you. When people walk in, our first thing is a radical welcome. I suck at that. My boss tells me I can't be up front greeting nobody. You know, that's not my job. He tells me sit in the back office when we need you to talk to somebody. That's your job. Don't answer the door, and please don't answer the phone. So I do as I'm told, but and I'm always going back to that. It's that sense of belonging. When someone feels that they belong, they're gonna do more for you. And by hands up, I mean I help this excuse me. I hate pointing at people. He comes into us and he asks for help. He'll come in once, we help him. He comes in twice, we help him. The third time he comes in, I'm like, okay, we've been helping you. Now, how do you help us? I need you to stand right next to me. I picked up one person. Now, together, we're going to pick up two. Down the line, we're going to pick up, after we pick up them two, we're going to pick up 4. We're going to pick up 8. We're going to pick up 16. The number keeps doubling, so we keep building a new community. And that's how you build a community. One person at a time. It's tedious, but the results are there.
I have a question. Can you hear me? I guess not.
I have no idea when you talk about gangs and all of these things. I have no, you only hear negative things.
Yes.
So do you work with the police departments that have that education as a part of this whole thing?
We work with the Allentown Police Department, Chief Granitz, Assistant Chief Roca, and a couple of their captains. We work hand in hand with them. Like, they can't give us information, so we do the same thing to them. Like, yeah, we're not going to give you information. Like, I'm a credible messenger 90% of the time. We respond to every act of violence in our city. But when we respond to the act of violence, we want to know who the perpetrator is and who the victim is and how do we stop a retaliation. I'm not here to run to the police and say who did it. I'm here to say, okay, this is the victim, this is the victim's family. If the person deceased, how do we help that family get through this traumatic? If they live, how do we help this guy make sure he doesn't retaliate? And there's been times we moved people out the city and we protected the families because the police department is the police. The community's department is to solve crimes. We know who the majority of the shooters are in our communities. We've seen them. The police don't know that until one of us go and tell them. I promise neighborhoods we don't play that. We tell them like, we're not gonna snitch. All we want to do is stop the retaliation. And there's times we stop shootings before they actually happen because we heard about it. We returned 2 people back that were kidnapped over the summer last year. And it wasn't running to the police. It was by us finding out who they were, who did it, and responding to them. And it wasn't a money issue. It's half these problems is arguments that get out of hand because people don't know how to have conflict resolution. So we try to teach conflict resolution, we try to help you, we try to inspire you. Once we solve that, how do we keep it solved? And that's by offering out different opportunities, offering different avenues. If you need a job, we'll help you find a job. We don't put nobody at no $10 an hour job. We want livable wages, 15 and better. And through workforce development, we're able to do that. We try to find them places where they're making a livable wage.
So we're just about at time. We are at time.
Okay.
It looks like everyone's super engaged. If you would be able to stay afterwards and talk with us still, if anyone has other questions, are you available for a couple minutes afterwards?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, this was really awesome. Let's sum it up. But please, if anyone has any further questions for Jose, see, everyone was just so quiet and talking. It was awesome. This conversation was really cool. And I have a question for you afterwards too. Thank you, Jose.
See, I told you were gonna want to hear it. And I think the way Jose described it, we're a gang.
We are.
Okay? We're
We
gonna
got
use our
pins
hands,
and
our
colors.
smarts, and make a difference.
Take care of our own.
Thank you so much. Okay, when you go out, when you leave here, continue to wear your masks, be sociable, keep your distances, use your hand sanitizers, stay well, stay safe. I want to see you next Thursday. Let's conclude with the four-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, first.
Is it true?
Second.
Is there all concern?
Third. Fourth. All right. If you have questions.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, Jose. When you
I'll get this to you.
learn about a young person when you learn about a young man or woman or whoever who's showing interest in joining a gang, what's that conversation like to try to deal with that? How do you?
Why?
Okay.
We always ask why. And then we try to offer different avenues. With sense of belonging, come by our office. If you feel your feelings, come by the office. If it's financially and you're 14, 15 years old, we try to get you one of the community members that, yes, like, that bodega from that offer that because we have that relationship, we'll go there, let him feel like he's trying to earn everything we do for it. So that's their gift back. We always look at everybody, what's your gift back? So you have to see that. So what's your gift back?
Say like I want to
Come down to our office and we have a
figure out what I do.
yes. We figure out what are your strengths and where would you fit best. It's always we want to work from your strengths. Unless you want to develop your weaknesses, then that's even better. But we're not going to put you we're not going to tell you go out to the gang. That's not what you know. But you might know technology and we don't. Okay, how do you do this? How do you do that? And we'll have to teach that.
Are there other people who work or volunteer that are also
Yes, we have. One of our city workers is an actor. We got her job in the city. We have equipment that helps us gather funds.
so that's helping to change
yes.
Thank you. Everyone was hanging on every word. It was like pins keep dropping. I was like, man, this is great. I think some other people have some questions too. I don't want to hold you up.
Hey, Jose, good speech, man.
Thank you.
But it sounds like fathers, I mean, there has to be a father, and the father needs to be involved. And like I said, I come from an Italian culture, very macho culture too. And, the fathers are there, and they make you sure you go straight. Otherwise,